just want to maintain. A lot of people just start intuitively eating because they're in that maintenance mode, and they track their weight every day. They hop on the scale, and if they've gone up 3 or 4 pounds, hey, I've got to cut back on certain things and cut the calories back.
So at this point, is the harder part at the point where you've lost the weight and now you know that you have to go further, or is the experience from having a keto journey of 2 years makes it more of a strategy on I know what to do next?
No, it's more of a strategy of you know what to do next, right? You hit that maintenance mode where you're comfortable. Again, you're comfortable with where you're at. You can do things. I know that I have to maintain the low carb because of my diabetes, but you start to increase your calories and you hit that maintenance mode. So right now, for me, it's going back into the weight loss mode to start taking it back off again. My ultimate goal was 250 pounds for me. Some people go further than that. I think it's a personal choice of where you feel comfortable with the way you look and the way your body is. For me, it's at 250. If I get to 250 and I decide, hey, I can go further, then I'll do that. Or if I just want to hit 250 and I want to stay maintenance, then I'll do that.
So you're saying that through keto, you basically have a better understanding of how you can do that, right? Because
completely,
right?
Completely, yeah. You have a complete understanding. If you've been doing it for a long period of time, I know that I can just jump back into a full keto lifestyle and tracking again and counting calories. And it's easy. And again, it's foods that you enjoy. Today my lunch today was 10 chicken wings with ranch and peri-peri sauce and 2 pickles.
Right.
Right.
And so
complete keto lunch.
And like we're saying this is way different than something like where there's these prep meals through other diets or some other way of taking pills and trying to hope that those things work. But here you've actually educated yourself. You've understood your body and doing keto. So now over time you figure, because we know when we're too full, like we know when we can stop eating.
Right. See, and the thing with like Weight Watchers, right? So you still have a good amount of carbohydrates that you have on that diet. And for me, I've learned that whenever I have any high level of carbohydrates, it just wants me to have more carbohydrates, right? If I eat a cookie or a piece of cake at a party or something, it just sets that craving off that you want more. Now I can have a keto cookie and I can have a keto piece of cake and no problem. There's no additional craving for that sweet. It satisfies you. So once you get to the point where you're fat adapted, where you're eating the fat that you're supposed to on a daily basis, but staying under your calories, your body becomes satiated, right? You feel full, you know when to stop, you know what feels good. But there are certain food products. I think you've probably in the past eaten something and you've had those days where you just are hungry all day and you've eaten 2,000 or 3,000 calories already, but you're still hungry. And then you look back at what did you eat? You had some Cheetos, you had some cookies, you might have had a sandwich, and none of that was satiating you. It was just kind of going through your system and you still have this urge for hunger.
Right. So let's talk about when you talked about keto cookies and things like that. When somebody is doing keto, and you hear this all the time, somebody says, in fact, we were just doing the Shop Small Business thing downtown, and that's where we saw you. And during that time we were out there, there was a person that came by the booth who was talking about how, I was going to try that keto soon. And she mentioned the pills. And I'm like, okay, I said, stop. You don't need the pill or pills for keto pills. You just need to start the food. Right. Once you start eating, the keto itself starts to do it. It's not about trying to find that, whatever's been advertised to you. There are foods out there now that are trying, companies that are not just pushing pills, but right now we have companies that are really trying to do a good job on helping us, right? As far as consumers out there in the market, whether, going in the stores and stuff, trying to find something that can work for us. Right. So what are the foods that you have found here in Las Vegas that somebody who's listening now is like, well, I wish I could do breads. If I could find that. And I'll just say here, obviously, if you don't know, this is basically in my wheel as far as with my wife and I. We have Rosa's Keto Treats, and we actually produce the breads and stuff like that. But if you're going out there and you're in the store, like David, what are some of the products that you find that actually helps you on your keto journey?
Okay, so I'm going to take a couple steps back. So when we talk about someone who's going on keto and they're starting their journey, my recommendation for those folks is to stay away from the treats, the bars, the cookies, the cakes, the new keto foods that are coming out there. Because if you fall into that in the beginning, you end up eating more calories, right? So some of them are really calorie dense foods. Mm-hmm. So you really want to become fat adapted. And I didn't start any type of keto treats until I was probably a good year into my keto journey. And then, like you said, all of a sudden these companies, like within the last 2 years, company after company has come up with keto fit bars and Hecka bars and, Nush cakes and everything that's out there. There's Slim Fast has a line of keto. I mean, you see it on the news, you see it on TV, everyone's pushing keto, but you absolutely do not need any of those products to do keto. I mean, you want to keep it simple in the beginning. You want to eat whole foods. You want chicken thighs and steak and asparagus and broccoli. So when I go shopping, you ask me what products am I looking for when I go out shopping. So I tend to do a Costco run about once a month. So cheese folio wraps. So cheese is a staple on keto for a lot of people. Some people can't eat it because they're lactose intolerant, but it is a staple for a lot of folks. And there are these pressed wraps that you can make a sandwich out of. You can lay down some lettuce and some sandwich meat, make a sandwich out of them. So that's an item. I get that at Costco. There's also egg wraps. They're made out of egg whites that are available at Costco. If you've gone through your journey and you're eating some bread type items, there's breads like Chompies. Sprouts just started carrying it, which is a less than 1 carb per slice bread. There's your wife at Rose's Keto Treats. She's got some loaves of bread and she's making rolls that are there as well. Bagels.
Yeah, we have a lot of bagels.
So I've bought your bagels before, so I really enjoy those. If you're looking for beef snacks, Duke's sausages. When you talk about beef snacks, so over the last few years, beef jerky has increased their sugar content per ounce. So right now, it's 8 grams of sugar per ounce on beef jerky, right? So the carb count is 8 grams of carbs per ounce.
Right.
Right?
That's so 8 per ounce.
Per ounce. That's per ounce, 1 ounce serving, right? And that's changed. It used to be a higher sodium content, less sugar content. They've added sugar back into as a preservative and a flavor enhancement for beef jerky. So if you really want to look at the labeling when you look at these foods. So Duke sausages, you can get 3 sausages. They're almost like a jerky type product. They're like 1 carb for 3 sausages. You can get those at Sprouts. You can get them at Walmart. I've seen them at Walmart as well.
Right.
So those kind of foods, you really want to look at the labels when you're looking at those type of snack food items.
What are the warning items that you would say?
So you really want to first look at your total carb count, right? And then look at the fiber count and then look at if there's any sugar alcohols in those products. So net carbs is going to be total carbs minus sugar alcohol minus fiber, right? So on beef products, you want to look at it. It's just going to be, there's not going to be any sugar in them. There might be some naturally occurring sugar that's in it, and I think that's where the 1 carb comes from on the Duke sausages, or any added ingredient or flavor seasoning that they add into those products will make it go up like 1 carb or so. So those are things you really want to look at. And there are some products out there that are sugar-free that you kind of want to veer away from. I'm going to go out on a limb here. Russell Stover has a line of new sugar-free chocolates. They come in the green and white bag, and they got the stevia leaf up in the corner, and they say made with stevia. But when you turn over that label and you look at the back, the very first sweetener in that is maltitol. So maltitol on the glycemic index is almost right up there with sugar, right? So I personally cannot have maltitol. I eat anything with maltitol, my blood sugar will just rise through the roof, just like if I ate a piece of candy with regular sugar in it. And if you look at that label, the very last ingredient on that label is stevia. So they're really going after, the consumer and trying to market the keto lifestyle and the sugar-free lifestyle, but you really have to look at these labels when you're looking at these items and do your proper homework.
I'm glad that you brought that up, because there was a conversation I think you had with Rose and I, and it was about certain products that when they first came out, and they were keto-friendly when they first came out, but gradually over time, if you don't keep your eye on what the label is saying, you notice now that they've changed.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, and without saying anybody specific, but honestly, isn't it?
Yeah, there were some ice cream products that came out in the beginning that were touting low calorie, low sugar. And as you look at them, like over time, they've increased the sugar content, just like beef jerky, right? To meet the need and the higher demand of higher sales, right? They found that the product was having lower sales. They had to increase the sugar content to make it a little bit sweeter, make it a little bit different, and then sales were increased. And then you have new companies that are coming out that are developing super keto-friendly products. There's 2 brands of ice cream out there right now, Enlightened and Rebel, that are in the keto world, and they're really great products. They are higher calorie content, like we talked about, calories matter. So when you look at that, you want to look at, there's 200 calories per half cup serving on those ice creams, but they're like, 1 net carb per serving. And again, like you want to get to that point down your keto journey where you can start adding those things back into your lifestyle. But you really don't want to attack those items right in the beginning. You just really want to focus on your whole foods, your meats, your cheeses, and your eggs, your fatty condiments. Those things are going to get you through, when you start out keto.
Right. And I know what I like is what you're saying is you can buckle down. People struggle with willpower, but the reality is the goal. The goal of filling yourself with stuff that's going to help you and not make you tip over.
Right.
Because you're trying to take away every stumbling block possible. Now, it's interesting that you said a year for you, which is amazing because some people, I never thought about it. If you discipline yourself even for like a month, you should have a good start. But if you do it in a year, you're definitely on the way of being able to control yourself no matter what comes. Because like you said, you can maybe kind of go off a little bit and then you know exactly what to do to get back.
Right. When you're on the keto plan to begin with, you want to, definitely take control, right, of what you're eating. And, out there in the world, right, there is a keto alternative for every item that you used to eat, right? You used to eat chocolate chip cookies. Guess what? There are chocolate chip cookies available. Rosa has, she's got cookies. She's got her cookie mixes. There's other vendors that are having cookie mixes that are keto mixes. Cinnamon rolls. I've had one of Rosa's keto cinnamon rolls. They're fantastic, right? They're delicious. So, that goes up against a regular cinnamon roll. I gave my uncle one of Rosa's keto cinnamon rolls. He's diabetic. He's not keto, but he thought it was delicious. And he didn't even know that it was anything different.
Right.
He thought it was a regular keto cinnamon roll. A regular sugar cinnamon roll. So for me, it's finding those items and working with those items that I enjoy, right? Lasagna. I love lasagna, right? If I want lasagna, I'm going to make a zucchini noodle lasagna. I'm going to make my sauce with the low-carb marinara sauce and Italian sausage and ground beef and cheese, and I'm going to layer it. Some people use sliced deli meat, sliced chicken, as the noodle layer in between, and that works fine too. It bakes up wonderfully. So if you're craving lasagna, you can always, there's a keto alternative for everything that you eat today.
Yeah, and I want to tell the listeners here, definitely when you I want you to visit David's Instagram, and if you don't follow him at the Keto Cutting Board or Keto Cutting Board. I don't want to put a "the" in front of it because people will get lost. But the main thing I see with how you do your page and your Instagram stories and stuff is you really show cooking. And I'm amazed because I know that you are a person whose lifestyle, your job keeps you traveling about how many days out of the month?
I'm on the road 4 weeks out of the month, and each week it's 3 to 4 days. So out of each week.
So when we look at you cooking, first of all, somebody says, well, I don't have time for that. Obviously that's how we get customers is because they're like, well, because baking can be a task. Some people are just like, I can't cook, I can't bake, so they'd rather purchase it. But others are saying that they don't have the time. But I look at you and I say, well, if anybody has an excuse to say they don't have the time, it would be David.
Yeah, you really just have to make the time, and you do things that are simple, right? You do things for yourself that are simple. I mean, last night for dinner, I had a 3-egg omelet with some cheddar cheese and an Angus beef.